Welcome back, folks, to the 19th annual Travis Roy Foundation Wiffle Ball Tournament. This is a virtual event, and for the next few minutes, we're going to take you back in history a little bit to the very first Travis Roy Foundation Wiffle Ball Tournament in 2002. It was a June rainy day, a one-day tournament with 7 teams. And I'm fortunate to have with me right now 3 of the guys who have been with the tournament the entire 19 years. And they were there on that first day, the first tournament. We have Mario and Eric Fontana, the leaders of HOTDAM, and Tom Downs, the leader of the Curse, which has become the Curse Lifted, and now more recently, the Curse Lifted Generations. Welcome, guys, and I want to each give you some time here to reflect on that first event and what it meant to you and to your team and to the Travis Roy Foundation. So Mario and Eric, you want to take it off?
The first thing I think we should state the obvious is that we've been doing this so long that when we started, the Boston Red Sox were considered cursed, and now they're just poorly run. So it's really come around in a big circle. Yeah, that was I'm actually really excited to hear Tom's how-to, because this is a story I think we love telling people. Pat and I and Eric have all been friends for a while, and we used to play boot hockey over at Letty Park way back in the yesteryear. And one year, Pat said, "Hey, do you want to be in a fantasy baseball league?" And I said yes, and so we became better friends. And one year when I came back, Pat said, "I built Fenway in my backyard. Do you want to come and play in a tournament?" And I thought that he had just built like a little fence. Like, I was not under the impression that it was the ordeal that was. Even then, it was very impressive. And so I don't think we knew what we were getting into. And I asked Eric to play. The tournament was later that summer, and we really had to scramble just to get 9 people to want to play. But we showed up, and it was the most fun that I think I'd ever had, competing in anything. And because it wasn't just about competition, it was just about this really unique thing. And we were just hooked from the start. Like, it's like, okay, this is our thing now. This is what we're gonna do. Because those first games were so much fun, and it had just such a different feel to it.
Tom, what do you think?
Yeah, for me, I remember like it was yesterday. There's a lot of things I don't remember about the championship game because we lost it. But what I do remember is prior to the tournament ever even happening, I used to collect a lot of football cards, and Emmitt Smith was a big thing for me. And I went to Fanatic. That was a card shop. I'm sure you remember that, Pat.
Yes.
In Essex Junction. And I went in there, and they had a bunch of pamphlets about this wiffle ball tournament. And I'm a little kid at heart. I still am. Loved wiffle ball as a kid. I said, "Oh my goodness, Little Fenway. What the heck is this?" All right, I'll sign up, get my name in there. I know I can get players. Turns out I had to turn people away for that first year. And then you gave me a call a few nights later, which kind of blew me away. And you're like, "So what do you think we should do?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I thought you had this figured out." But it was just so cool. It just happened to see the pamphlets there in that little card shop, and just went for it. Started getting a team together. I got to tell you though, and I'm sure you heard this 1,000 times, and I think everybody's had the same feeling the first time they show up. When you pull up and you see the green monster and the authentic color of that wall as you pull in, it gave me chills, and I'm just had grins the entire time, even though it was raining that entire day. It was. I just remember a lot of rain. Showed up, and I said, "Wow, I can see the potential here. This is just crazy." It was still cornrows of grass. It wasn't even fully seeded yet. It was kind of getting there, right? And we were going to play in the mud and tear your field apart. But I just remember you giving me a call and talking about what the rules might be and that sort of thing. I'm like, this is kind of all right, different. But and I remember our team that back then is probably no different now, really. A lot of ragtag people. There's hardly anybody from the original team still on the team. I think it's me and John Welch. I think that's about it that are left.
Yeah. And Eric, I remember you at third base, coaching third base, and your son Kirk was probably, I don't know, 6 years old or something, was your catcher. And I was amazed at how good he was at that age. You can imagine how good he is now. But what were you thinking as you were kind of the coach of the team pretty much, weren't you?
Yeah, I don't know that I was, because Mario kind of pulled the team together. So I'd go out, and in fact that picture got in the Essex Reporter, and I still have the picture of Kirk on third base and me coaching him, which I was doing anyway, because that's back in the, that's when he started playing, little league baseball, minor league baseball, and all of that. What I kind of remember about that is, I think I pitched in that tournament. I think I pitched more in the next tournament, but I was pitching.
I have certain things that I'm.
And he was catching. And I remember that vividly, and we ended up winning. And I think we were the home team. So anyway, I threw the last strike and we won, whatever. And then in 2017, Hayden's our normal catcher. And so I was pressed into duty. I didn't hit that tournament, but I caught the whole tournament. I'm still not sure how my knees handled that, and Kirk was pitching. So it's such a cool balance of, we just kind of switched roles as I got older and he got older, but got better. So those are some of the memories that I have.
Yeah, my memories of that first game was the weather, of course, and seeing the field get torn to shreds. But that we had very few spectators. We had Doug Llewellyn in the parking lot doing all the parking, and Jane O'Neill in the bleachers in center field taking pictures. And what I remember is I was worried about the competitiveness of the game. Would 9-on-9 work? And would it be fun to watch as well as play? And then after you, the HOTDAM and Tom and the Curse played that game, it was so exciting. It was like, oh my gosh, this is really going to be fun. Because if this game, the first game, was as exciting as that, we're just going to have a ball for many years.
Yeah, that game was incredible, and it was hamstrung by us because my friends and I, this is pre-GPS, and I just assumed I could remember how to get to your house. But of course, you live in the middle of nowhere almost. So we were definitely 20 minutes late, and everyone's looking at us like, what are you doing? There's, let's go. But yeah, it was really back and forth. I remember it vividly. I like to write a lot of stuff down, but I don't need to for that game. I know I pitched, which was stupid because I'd never pitched in my life. So I thought that I'll be good at it. And I remember I just getting lit up. I know Shane Quinn hit a big home run off me. And so finally, Eric, who's always very good about letting me fail before it's obvious that it's not going to work, he came in and pitched, and I finally hit a home run to atone for my mistake, and we tied it up. But then Eric gave up a little pesky pole shot, and the Curse got the lead back. And I was like, it was a really fun game, but also I was feeling the same way you were. It's just like, man, I hope every game is like this. Yeah. And then, we were going so long again because I was late that after one extra inning, Pat said, we got to end this game. Let's have a home run derby. And so I think that's the charm of this tournament, is that it's all been organic. Joe Tyrone was on the broadcast a couple nights ago talking about how there were no walks in the first tournament. And that's because Pat was afraid that, that there'd be too many walks and it wouldn't be fun and people wouldn't hit. And what we realized is that didn't work. And so we made changes. And so a lot of this tournament has really come up organically. And then we've had a good enough crew involved that we can make the necessary changes to make it better. And I just think that's why it keeps getting better and people keep wanting to come back.
Yeah, it was the only tournament of all these years that was played in June. We moved it to August, and August has worked out much better than June. And I should mention that of the 7 teams that were in the tournament, 4 of them have been in every single tournament. It's HOTDAM and Curse, you guys, as well as the Staten Island Yankees and the Boston Beat. So it's just a credit to the commitment that you and all the players that have come every year have done. It's just been an amazing journey, and it continues.
I'd like to know from Tom, like what drives you, Tom, to keep coming back more? I mean, because next year is going to be year 20 of this, and I know you're just like, we can't wait for August. So what keeps you coming back?
For me, part of it, I love the tournament. Yeah, I don't even play anymore, right? I just coach. I love seeing my son play. I love seeing his friends play. I'd love to see actually more kids playing. So we have another generation, as you know, where our head is at. But it was actually back in I forget what year it is now, and Joey Tyrone was talking about quitting. This was years ago. This was years ago. He said, "I'm getting old. I just can't do this anymore. Kids are getting older and everything else." And I talked to him. And I said, "No, you can't quit. You can't ever quit. You're not allowed to quit." And so I was talking to him. And I was giving him crap. I was giving his teammates crap about Joe quitting, a year or two. And I said, "No, you can't do it." So that's part of it. I haven't quit, but I'm still involved because physically I just can't compete anymore. I think at a level I'd like to. But I think part of, and it doesn't sound like a good reason, but because I told Joe years ago you can never quit. That's something I can never have him hold over my head ever. So I mean that's one of my reasons. But I love seeing the kids play. I still have great memories of that first year. Isaac, my son, was 1.5, I think, and Cam Quinn, same thing. They were rolling down the hills, a little hill going down the third baseline. Things like that. I mean, I can't walk away from that. There's just too many memories.
Yeah, I think I don't want to speak for you, but I think it's just like it's a part of my DNA now, right? Like, what would I do this summer? It's been really nice to have the online component, but like this summer has been a gut punch to not go there. Like I was talking before the home, like we went by Silly Hill Road today on the way to my mom's camp, and like it was like a stomach punch to not be able to go. And I think really it's a part of my identity of who I am. Like it has nothing to do with the games at this point. It's just like that's what I do. I raise money for this great cause and see really extended family. Like everybody in the tournament is like family to me.
Yeah, that's
I've had a tough time with that. I mean, I'm kind of in denial. This is great what we're doing right now. This is fun, but I've always tried to. I've watched a little bit of the games and things going on, but it's hard for me to even. I don't want to bring this down, but I really struggled with it this year.
Yeah.
Trying to get, because I knew the memories it wasn't going to be the same. But this isn't what I want to remember. I want to remember us all being out there, right, and being involved and seeing each other.
Yep.
So it's tough.
I think that's one of the biggest challenges as it grows. You have less time to spend with each person, but it's still better and better and better because the family's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And
right.
Next year,
and the teams
very special.
And the teams get it, and I think a lot of that. And I'm going to speak for us and the three other HOTDAM, Yankees, and Boston Beef. We set the tone, and I don't take that lightly. That first year, I remember us all looking at each other and said, "How intense do we need to get?" And I remember looking at Boston Beef. I remember looking at HOTDAM. We look at each other. How serious are we supposed to get here? And then we kind of laugh it off, and that kind of set the tone. We played hard, but we all kind of didn't know what to do, which is probably a good thing, right? Especially in the rain and everything else. We didn't take ourselves too seriously. I think that's been pretty steady throughout the years.
We got about a minute left, guys. Do you have some last second thoughts here for the viewers on that first tournament and what it started?
Take this.
You take it.
That first tournament was, Eric and I were just talking about this. It's amazing that all of this has sprung from the misfortune of a good person, right? Travis has an accident and it's really tragic. But the beauty of that is that beauty can come out of tragedy. And because he had that accident, now we've put so much good back into the world. And so I don't think any of us thought that the tournament would become this, but I'm just so grateful to be a part of that very first day because I really feel like I have had a small say in making the world a little bit better place.
Well, very well said, Mario. Tom, anything else that you want to add, or we'll close?
No, I'm just glad to be a small part of this. I can't wait till 5 o'clock to see the money count. I'll shed a tear as I always do.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Thank you, guys. Eric, Mario, Tom, thanks a lot for sharing your thoughts on the first tournament for Travis Roy Foundation in 2002. We're going to take a short break now, and we'll be back in a few minutes and talk a little bit about the building of Little Fenway with some of the original builders, the engineers behind the building of Little Fenway, both Bill Livingstone and Larry Riegert. Hello, everyone. We're back at the Travis Roy Foundation Wiffle Ball Tournament, the virtual version here in 2019. And we're going to spend a couple of minutes here with a couple of the architects, the engineers behind the building of Little Fenway. Bill Livingstone and Larry Riegert are joining me. Welcome, guys. Before we get into talking a little bit about the building of Little Fenway, I did want to mention one thing, that the silent auction for this year's tournament is still active and open until 7 p.m. tonight. So make sure you take the opportunity to go online and look at the silent auction items and put your bids in before 7 p.m. tonight. So, okay, the building of Little Fenway. Well, I know these guys quite well, Larry and Bill, both very instrumental in building not only Little Fenway, but Little Wrigley and Little Field of Dreams. Little Fenway was built in 2000, 2001. Little Wrigley was built in 2007, 2008, and Little Field of Dreams was built in 2014. Largely, the growth in the number of fields was due to the fact that the Travis Roy Foundation Wiffle Ball Tournament was growing. We wanted to accommodate more teams, more fans, and more sponsors. So let me start with Larry. Larry, what's your thoughts on this? I know we only have a few minutes here to sum up the last 20 years, but it's been a big part of your life as it is Bill's and mine. Let me have you take it away from here.
Thank you, Pat. It's been a big part of my life as well as my entire family, my wife and Lois and the kids and grandkids. It's very special to us in many, many ways. But going back to building, you described, I think you and Bill are the architects. I think I was just a lonely carpenter or maybe ditch digger when we first started building Little Fenway, because that was quite a challenge. I received your email, if you build it, people will come, or something like that. I forget the exact words, Pat. And I was one of probably 30 people, I think. You had a good sized crew for a number of weeks out there digging holes and hitting the ledge. And I don't think any of us really knew what we're getting into. I think you and Bill had a lot more better insight and vision of what was going to happen. But it's been a great journey.
It sure has. You know, one of the things that Bill and I worked together at IBM, and one of the things that made our day special was going out and getting some coffee early in the morning. And I remember that infamous day, Bill, when we were standing by the window and I had this coffee stained napkin with a drawing on it. And it was really important to me to talk to you about getting your impression of this project, because I felt like if you were on board, maybe something would come of this. So anyway, what are your thoughts on how it started and what it's become?
Well, hey, that was an amazing morning, Pat. I'll never forget walking back out of the cafeteria over to the windows and looking at this napkin, and you with your typical left-handed, drawings on the napkin, going over like the whole idea, like what do you think about doing this? And I thought it was great because Red Sox fan, Fenway Park. I mean, it was perfect. So, after kicking that around, I don't know, it was not too much longer. We found ourselves out at the field with about 7 people, kind of in the mud, and encountered some ledge, and that was a huge drawback. But then, like, by the end of the day, we had like these 16-foot long 4x4s in the ground, in concrete, like about 16 of them. That was the first section of the Green Monster. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, Larry, I don't know if you knew some of
Did you guys hear that?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
Bill.
that was good, Bill. Larry, I don't know if you were
I'm
there
not hearing you anymore.
Larry, I don't know when you were there, if you remember the day that Bill got struck by lightning when we were trying to pour 200 bags of concrete into the scoreboard at Little Wrigley.
I definitely remember that afternoon when we were pushing our luck around 6 o'clock, and there were thunderstorms in the area. But you and I and Bill, and I think Ted Yates, were determined that we were going to get the structural steel up for that scoreboard. And Bill was he was on the cement mixer, and and all of a sudden I heard some words come out of his mouth that you don't hear too often because he got zapped.
Yeah, there were some fun experiences. I'll tell you. The ledge you mentioned, Bill, was not the first obstacle I think we ran into on day one. I remember looking at you guys and saying, "Oh my gosh, this project is dead on arrival." But you were very kind to say, let's try some other areas to dig those holes." So that was a key stepping stone.
Yeah.
And then Larry, we had some trouble growing corn for Little Field of Dreams. The cutworms were out, and then the raccoons were out, and but you came up with a pretty good plan to combat the fact that we had a hard time growing corn there.
Yeah, well, my plan was to get 17 other people to go transplant it. And we've been fortunate enough from Lorenzo Wickham and now Dave Conan from the Conan Cornfield Farm has donated the corn every year. And in fact, Pat, I drove by there Friday morning, and this year's corn is as good as ever. So I know next year we're going to have a crew out there first weekend in August, right before the tournament. We'll be transplanting another 1,000 stalks of corn again.
Wow. That's tremendous, Larry.
Which is interesting, Pat, because we talked about how this tournament has grown. And the first year, really, the only thing we were focused on was the field. We worried about the teams that we had. We had 7 teams. We were worried about the field. I think our concession stands was your grill, and you and Beth manned the grill and cooked some hot dogs and maybe a few hamburgers. But over the 20 years, this event has grown tremendously, where the fields are part of it, but the other parts of all the other logistics, the media, parking. It's an amazing effort has evolved over the past 20 years from when we first started.
Right. One of the key things is the umpires, and you've done a tremendous job just keeping the umpires involved in the tournament. I mean, these are certified high school and college umpires that come out, and they add a degree of professionalism that you wouldn't see in a typical wiffle ball tournament. So
it's amazing. I remember the first year, I said, "What can I do? I'm not a very good wiffle ball player. What can I do?" And I said, "No, I umpire. I'll umpire some." And I don't think we really thought about having umpires for that tournament. And that first year, I did a lot of umpiring. And now we get about 18, 19 college, high school certified umpires that come to the tournaments every year and umpire. And one of the special guys we had a few years ago, has been there 2 or 3 times, is Joel Slosky from Rochester, New York, who is a high school certified umpire and a spinal cord injury too.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous.
I think my audio is straightened out now.
Great. Hey, Bill. You've seen the field grow because every year you've seen the improvements we've made, and that's been sort of one of the trademarks is that it's never done, right? We're always adding something. So can you comment a little bit on some of the things, the projects? We've added bleachers. Of course, it's got to look like Fenway Park, so we have to have the retired numbers, the red seat, the Sitco sign, etc. But what are your memories of some of the improvements we've made?
Well, one memory is the bullpen wall behind the bullpens. I remember that that was going to be like the next phase improvement. So we went and we put this thing up, thinking it was just going to be like a visual backdrop to the bullpen, right? And in typical fashion of how we operate, like a year or 2 later, the next thing you know, you have a grandstand that's being supported by this thing on the front side, and like, I don't know, it was last year, right? That all of a sudden there was this huge Vermont frost heave winter that pretty much tore up that whole front section and almost, tipped the grandstand over. I mean, it was unsafe. So we ended up coming back in last year and fixing it up. But that was one addition that took on a whole life of its own.
Yeah, I remember one year we were out there on January 16th, and we were working on Wrigley, and
it was warm out, right?
It was so warm in January. I said, "What are we doing out here?"
It was like 65 degrees or something. I remember that. That was amazing. I remember another time you and I were down in Home Depot getting threaded black pipe cut so that we could build the foul poles.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you guys that you have to know this, that now there's like 7 or 8 guys I'm talking to around the country that are building these fields, and not all Little Fenway, but wiffle ball fields for charity events. And thanks to the good work that you guys have done and led and the teams that we've had out there, you know, this thing is spreading like wildfire across the country.
Well, you should be known as Johnny Appleseed of wiffle ball parks there, Pat.
Oh, I don't know. But anyway, we got about a minute left. Last thoughts, Larry, on this journey we've been on together?
No, I'm looking forward to next year. It's great to see the momentum carry on through this tough year we had this year. And next year, going to be even better than ever before.
Well, Larry, thank you to you and your family for such a dedicated, 20 years of fabulous help. It's you're a tremendous friend. And Bill, any last thoughts?
Oh, just I echo what Larry's sentiments exactly. It's been a great journey for me and my family. I remember Ellie being out there those first times that we were building the park. 9 years old, and Scott too. And hey, does this ring a bell?
It sure does. It sure does.
That's the hat I was wearing the first day. Anyway, it's been great, Pat. You were the mastermind. Somehow you knew that something good was coming out of this. I don't know how you knew it, but you knew it and you made it happen. So,
well, thank you, Bill. And it's such a great story, I guess you should say. And the journey continues. And now we're going to take a break, and we're going to go to the money count, and we'll get to hear from Travis and Sue Bentledge and others. So stay tuned after the break. Thank you.